All right, so took the unfortunate bogey back there on hole 18 after multiple times saying about trying to get the easy three. I played it to set up as an easy three, so pretty unfortunate, bummer that ended up hitting that one little tiny tree on the way in. But I also put the putter out a little further right than I expected to. I was expecting to go a little more towards it, towards the basket. So that's an error on my part and brought us to one over after the back nine, my front nine today. So let's go ahead and get this hole number one out of the way. We're looking at 318 feet. It's ever so slightly uphill. Basket sits tucked in to the right. There is an OB wetland roped off area to the left of the basket. So we want to push something that goes out straight or turns in towards the basket, but we don't want it to be too deep. So I typically like to go Hades or Heat, a little bit of a hyzer flip up shot, see if we can get any turn. If not, it just goes out straight, finishes in the middle for me somewhere, gives me an easy chip in. Nice and up, a little bit of turn, coming back out of the turn, landed on the water pipe that is nice and safe in front of that OB wetland area. All right, so this is the drainage pipe I was talking about. All that dead grass right there that we're walking towards, that's the OB. All right, setting up here, headwind is gonna wanna make my disc lift. So I'm kinda aiming towards the cage of itself, but I also wanna make sure that we get to the basket. So I don't wanna push it too low that it's gonna not even make it to the basket. Trying to go for a nice spin putt. Came in chains high, but left it a little right. Should be a tap in. Yep, like a 7-8 footer here. And we're gonna head off to arguably the toughest hole on the course. Hole 2 here at Coyote is a daunting 420 foot long dog leg left. It's downhill, tight corridor off the box, opens up down at the bottom. You want something that you can hopefully push all the way down to where the bridge is that takes you over to the green. If you come up short, there are some possible throw through options through the woods. There are some lines, like a couple gaps that you might get lucky and be able to poke a tomahawk through or a backhand, especially right now in the wintertime. I am going with the mint Diamondback. I'm going to try to push the bridge. I need a flat, clean release, something that's traveling downhill just a little bit to hopefully carry me and push me all the way down to the bridge. Here we go, straight down the pipe. Nice, easy release. I'm looking for a clean snap of the wrist. And I release it too early. We're headed to the left side woods. Just hit something. Looks like I'm gonna be in the woods or down near the gully. There's like 8 people on hole 4 and about 6 people on hole 3. So this is gonna get interesting to try to either play through them, get by them, record for you guys if I can. Might end up having to skip a hole. We'll see. All right, so I got a little bit of a poke alley right through this gap right here. I'm gonna try to do a lean out to the right, forehand, tiny flex shot. Straddle out. I need to throw it to the left of that white birch tree. I'm assuming that's birch. All right, little snap of the wrist, get the disc to come left, finish to the right. Here we go. Left, right. Send it a little deep, but we're getting a putt. We're looking at a birdie. All right, another about 10 footer. Just over the cage, got the bird. Hole 3 here is a short 176 foot, real sharp turn to the right, downhill shot. It is no slouch of a hole though. There is OB immediately behind the basket on a drop hill cliff into the gully. OB off of the tee precedes you to a drop zone. OB after the tee shot just puts you where you were last in bounds. A lot of people like to go forehand here because it's a nice easy play off the tee. get out around these trees, dump down into the lowland, give yourself a chip over if you need to. Then a lot of other people like myself like to go putter, backhand, turnover shot that carries down to the basket, hopefully starts to stable out towards the basket, but not pushing too far. So let's see if we can get a good pull here. Sometimes I accidentally yank it, we come in too tight. Other times I don't pull it enough and I send it too straight. That looks really good. That might be sitting down near the drop zone, which is a fairly short circle 2-putt. So coming down the fairway, these orange flags right here is our circle, or is our drop zone area, and my putter is sitting right over here for the easy birdie look. Now let's see if we can convert. Got the 2. All right, hole 4, we're going long pin, 423 feet. I'm going over Stable Explorer again. Trying to get something that goes up this gap, misses the trees that are in the middle of the fairway, bends far to the left. And I missed my line a little bit. We got up the fairway, nicked a tree, ended up on the right side, probably just barely off. So I'm off the fairway. I don't have a really good look back to the fairway to make a lot of progress. So I think I'm gonna try to go for as much of a high percentage shot as I can, which for me, I think is gonna be a thumber high through these branches. Hopefully flips over and keeps me on the fairway. And I baseball threw it right into a tree rather than releasing high enough. That's a misplay on me. All right, so I've assessed my shot. I am going to try to blast this Felon down through this gap that goes over top of the short basket to the long basket. Just need to commit to releasing out in front of me. Got it, but hit a tree on the way in, so on the fairway. All right, I found myself buried in the leaves right here off that tree hit. So now I'm gonna go harp, forehand, chip up. Just need to get through these 2 trees, lay myself at the bottom of the basket. Aimed right at the tree. Oh, yeah, I was a little too tight to that tree. Thankfully, I didn't end up nicking it. I actually gave myself a run at the basket. I just missed wide right, probably by about 1.5 feet. And I'm probably laying up there maybe like 8-10 feet long. Okay, so by 8 to 10 feet long, I meant about 20. Probably got some extra slide on these pine needles. 15. We'll say this is a 15-footer. And I dropped it low. Oh, that hurts. Double bogey. Right, so while I'm letting someone play through this hole, double bogey on that hole, obviously not something that I wanted. I was okay taking the bogey. The double bogey is obviously something that can really make someone into the mind frame that they just ruined their round. It was a round killer. I was playing so good until there. And those are the things that just after so much time of playing, you just gotta realize that it happens pretty much every single time you're out. Hardly ever you're gonna have a round where you're just picture perfect, golden boy on the course, making everything, throwing every perfect shot. So you just gotta have some amnesia, let it go, move on to the next one, continue trying to attack the holes that you're willing to attack. So don't self-sabotage, play to your abilities, move on and grab the ones that you can grab. All right, so hole 5 here, 252. It's a straight shot across this gully valley area. A lot of trees in the way. I recently just switched from trying to go mid-range or fairway driver to putter right up the middle. So let's try not to do anything too funky. See if we can get a rip all the way through. All right, so it was straight, but it was weak. So I ended up real short, but I've given myself a chip over for the easy 3. All right, so I'm probably just barely outside circle 2. I'm just going to give myself an easy right to left hyzer dumping putt up to the basket and get my tap in for 3. If I try to actually run this, I'm probably going to throw it too high. Going to end up hitting a tree. Right to left, parked. All right, easy 3. Let's try to go for a big shot on hole 6. Hole 6 here is a 452-foot downhill shot that finishes off to the left corner of the fairway. There is OB behind the basket, tucked into the woods with a rope. There's also this cell phone tower. Inside the fence is OB. Inside the tower off the tee, there's a drop zone, short, really super short tee up ahead. My goal is to try to take this cloud breaker, see if I can't aim towards the corner of this fence post, push something that's going to be pretty straight, let it fade off at the end, hopefully over towards the basket. If my timing is pretty decent, I should be able to push myself down towards circle 2. I'm going to try to bite off what I can, but I don't want to go too crazy because I don't want to over yank something and go wide right. So I sent it down the right side, a little more right than I wanted, but the fade's kicking in down the valley. I just saw a big flare skip over towards the basket, but I'm going to be short. Hoping like circle 2, maybe just barely outside it for the easy chip up. All right, so we ended up on a 452-foot shot, 55 feet short. So it was just under 400 on the throw there. So 55-footer here puts me in circle 2. There's not a lot of wind down here as there was up on the tee, so I'm going to give it a fairly good bid, hopefully. Not a bad bid, but definitely didn't give it enough oomph or enough height to get it there. All right, I spared you guys the last 2 tap-ins since they were just tap-ins, but we are moving on to the hole that was my first ever ace. Hole 7 here at Coyote. I think it's like 120 some feet or 150 feet or something downhill over a creek. The creek is OB. If you shank early, you're OB. If you have an early release, there's OB left. Then you proceed to a drop zone. So here's what we're looking at. All right, so on hole 7 here, the sign says 149 feet. UDisc says it's a little shorter than that. I'm looking for something that's going to go out over the creek, bow around the big guardian tree that you can see to the right of the basket, but it's in front of it, and then hopefully dump in. I'm going with the harp. Aced this before with the dynamic disc slammer. Trying to get one on this Ricky harp now. Here we go. Too much, too high. Send it deep. Didn't give it enough forward trajectory to let it get out ahead and then dump out. I've got a little bit of a straddle putt here because I got a bush in my right ribs. So we're going for a nice little pop straddle putt right in the center of that pole. And just missed it high right. Could have had the easy bird there, but going for the ace, sometimes you set yourself up a little far and then you don't make the easy putt. It'll cost you. Okay, hole 8 here is 253-foot par 3. Realistically, it's my last chance at a birdie. Try to grab one more before the round's over. Hole 9 is a tough one to grab for anybody. This hole here, typically most people play this left side gap rather than going down the right side road. Left side gap, you can do backhand turnover, or you can go forehand blasted straight out, let it fade to the right. That's the route that I go. So I'm going to try to get something hopefully to push as far down to the basket as possible. It is a raised basket up on a platform. So, all right, that's a little farther left than I would like. Hit a tree on the way back in, just on the left side of the fairway. Sounds like a par at best. All right, so I ended up staying just inside the wood line here. Outdrove the basket just a little bit, so I'm just gonna do an easy little pitch out here and try to give myself a tap in 3. Slide up, there we go. All right, guys, while the mob in front of me is finishing up on hole 9 here, we've got a 267-foot shot. It's straight across, and then it ever so gently curves up to the right. Really tough gap to hit right off the beginning. I used to go forehands off this hole, again, trying to get that accuracy right off the tee, like I mentioned back on hole 15. But if you end up wide right, you're in a lot of danger. Trying to get back over to the fairway is really tough. So I ended up switching to throwing a mid down the middle, so that I either hit the gap, finish out on the fairway. If I yank it left or right just a little bit, hopefully I miss whatever tree is in the way and I still end up pushing up the fairway. Maybe I'm just ever so gently off the fairway rather than way right. So sitting at a +1 right now. I'd rather be at like a -1, but what can we do other than come out and try again another day? Wouldn't be surprised if a bogey comes into play on this hole, but really going to give it the best effort as always to try to at least get the par. So let's see what we can do to end this round. All right, due to a little bit of a headwind I can feel, I made the change to throwing the method instead of the Mindbender. My Mindbender is just a little bit understable, and I want to try to get something that's going to hold flat the whole way over. I just need to hit this one and only gap that's right down the middle. And I'm too early again. Pinballed down to the bank. There's a little tiny creek down there that is hazard, or not hazard, I'm sorry, casual now. Used to be OB. Last year they removed the OB, so let's go get ourselves an up and down. All right, I got the camera positioned in a dry spot on the creek. All I really have for myself is like a forehand approach shot. I'm gonna try to see if I can get something to get real skinny between these trees that are right in front of me here and the tree up in front of me up there. See if I can push something up towards the circle. Going down the fairway. Ah, that should be great. All right, so I tried not to bite off more than I could chew by throwing like a Justice or either one of my super overstable fairways. I just went harp, something I knew I could control, keep on the fairway. Left myself with probably a 30-footer. So just need to give myself some confidence, push to the chains, finish off with this par. And yoinked it, absolutely yoinked it. Been so good lately at hitting metal at least. Let's go tap that in and take our bogey. Like I mentioned, we might get on the box. And that'll round us out here with a +1 or +2 on the round. Not terrible. I probably average about +4, +5 with having just got my best score recently of a -1 on this layout. I want to thank you guys for coming along on the ride, getting in my head a little bit on what I'm looking for in every shot. Hopefully next time play a little better. As always, see you in the circle.